I'm presenting this talk on soundscapes in Amurum Forest Reserve in the Amurum Plateau in northern Nigeria. This is work that was part of the master's degree of Besongngem Mbikeng, which I supervised. Besong was interested in what can the soundscape tell us about species richness across a habitat mosaic of gallery forests, savanna and rocky outcrops. How do soundscapes vary across seasons and over the course of a day using the acoustics indices, acoustic diversity, complexity and evenness, and do recordings represent species richness identified in point counts. This picture here gives an example of the habitats of the reserve, the rocky outcrops, the gallery forest and the surrounding savanna. And Besong used song meter threes, two of them which he moved around every couple of days across the different habitats which are color-coded here, and in total there were 30 recordings, 30 recording locations, I should say 10 per habitat, of course across 2 seasons. Here's an example of a spectrogram, and I'm going to start playing some of the sounds here, the Amurum turtle dove. So this is an example of characteristic species from the savanna. It's endemic to the Amurum Plateau, and other characteristic species are the double-spread francolin and the stone partridge, shown up here. That's the francolin, and that's the stone partridge. Okay, now the soundscape methods, so the recordings, a similar number of species were detected to the point counts, but there was some variation based on habitat. It seems that in the more open habitats, Besong may have seen more species that were not vocalizing, whereas in the gallery forest it was a pretty good representation of the numbers, at least, of diversity. With regards to the indices, one of the things that came out from the Acoustic Diversity Index was that there was much higher diversity in gallery forests, and this was consistent across the seasons. There was a difference among seasons in savanna, in that there was a greater acoustic diversity in the savanna in the wet season. Another thing, looking at this over the course of the day, we could see that there was much less acoustic diversity, particularly in the open habitats of the outcrops and the savannas, in the early afternoon. And this was more pronounced in the dry season than in the wet season, particularly in the savanna. Acoustic complexity was lower in the gallery forest than the other 2 habitats, but pretty stable over the course of the day. And acoustic evenness was again lower in the gallery forest than the other 2 habitats, but again there was variation in savanna in that it was less even in the wet season and the dry season. And there was also differences across the course of the day with much higher evenness in the open habitats, the outcrops and the savanna, particularly in the dry season. But my interpretation of that is that there's much less acoustic activity in the early afternoon. So to conclude, the soundscape captures some acoustic variation between habitats and seasons, and point counts detect more species, but recordings result in similar numbers, though this varies by habitat.